definitely not least, our double winner, Yoni Bork, who was with us last year, and who we were so excited to invite back again this year, will be presenting a piece called Blood Cells. And as a side note, Yoni actually came up with this year's prompt. Last year we asked the Beautiful Minds kids to write on their evaluations ideas for the prompts. And then we worked on it, we picked a couple, we sent them back out to the Beautiful Minds Symposium attendees to get some feedback, and this was the one that won. So we have that honor as well, to be in the presence of the creator of the very idea of this year's competition. So let me get your image back up, and then we'll be good to go.
Hello, I'm Yoni. I'm from Los Angeles, which is kind of far away. I wrote these notes about how I was going to present this morning at about 6 a.m., which is roughly 3 a.m. for me, because I'm still very jet lagged. And they don't make sense. So I'm just going to try and work through this. Okay, so the picture is kind of a little bit dark on the screen, but you can, I think it's so legible. It says, blood cells race as I face myself. Blood cells race to replace myself. Sort of a little mini poem slash mantra or whatever. And I would like to start by talking about the actual construction of the art representation of the mantra itself. So, firstly, I made this out of paper, the stencil for the letters, freehanded, cut all of the letters out. Then realized that nobody sells a canvas that is that size at all, anywhere. So I ended up having to buy parts, handcraft this canvas with the wooden frame, and then buy a stamping gun and stretch the canvas myself, which was kind of a lot of work, but it's totally worth it. And then, so I had the canvas, I had the stencil, I taped the stencil to the canvas, and mixed red and brown paints so that it looked as close to blood as it could. And actually applied the paint with punches, and I actually, the point to be made is about anger, and the first line, blood cells race that I face myself, is about sort of, for me, figuring out who I am, and there's a lot of anxiety and anger and sort of negative emotions that help you to reach that conclusion, I guess. So the punching is like a metaphorical representation of that anger, and also a physical way for me to get that anger out. So I actually hit the canvas pretty much as hard as I possibly could, which resulted in me actually cutting up my fist pretty bad. So that's like, I don't know, like an eighth actual blood. Yeah, something makes sense. So the second line, blood cells race to replace myself. I came to this realization that the same blood that was racing through me as I was experiencing this anxiety and this anger, as my pulse would quicken, those same blood cells would go on to clot and then scab over and ultimately heal the wounds that I had received on my fist. Or, well, I had that idea before I made it. It was just supposed to be a metaphor, but it actually ended up happening. And I guess I've been thinking a lot about like the overall point, like why that matters, and I wanted to just make sure that everybody is aware of how amazing the human body is to not only heal itself physically, just automatically, without any electricity or anything, but also heal the mind and to overcome the anger, the anxiety, or whatever. And that's it. Yeah. Well, I was honestly thinking really hard, trying to think of, I know I wanted to do like some sort of words and then punch and have a stencil with paint, but I didn't know exactly what I was trying to say. And I think just came to me one time when I was driving or something. I was like, oh, I need to stop inside of the freeway and write this down.
How big is it?
It's like 1.5 feet this way by like 4 feet maybe, 4.5. Yeah. It's just probably on my little shelf.
I was wondering about your hair, like what did you think of the different cells?
I want to incorporate that more. Like, it doesn't really make sense. I just thought of that